Well, hello, everyone. We are super excited to share with you this evening. We hope you have settled back in to your day from a day at work or a day out in the community, whatever your day looked like. I hope you've had an opportunity to just settle in, sit back, kick your legs up, and join the conversation. I am here again with my friend, Derek Mitchell. If you guys remember our recent conversation a couple Fridays ago, we were able to have some really compelling conversation together. And if you remember during that conversation, he and I were discussing preparing to go to the National Stuttering Association annual conference. Well, tonight we want to just do a recap of our time away at NSA, just to kind of talk about some of the highlights, some of the things that were most memorable, some of our own experiences. We definitely have to talk about the food. We definitely have to talk about the culture, the climate, the community. So let's jump right in. How are you doing, Derek?
I am doing pretty good.
Awesome.
And you?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm super excited to be connected with you again. So let's see, where should we start? Let's start with you know what? I want to start with the food because that's normally how I plan my trips, Derek. I plan my trips around the food. But before we start with that, I really want to kind of talk about before you go on a trip such as this, before you go to a conference, and maybe this conference is similar to others for you. You've been going for a while, so I called you like a long timer because you've been going for a while. I was a first timer. How do you prepare for something like the NSA conference? What do you do?
For me, the conference is really all about the people. So I always go with really two intentions. One is to catch up with actually it's three intentions. One is to catch up with old friends. Two is to catch up with people who I didn't get a chance to talk to at the previous conference. And three is to is to meet new people. So really, those three intentions, and pretty much it's all centered around the people because for me, that's what the conference is all about.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you hit on that because I feel like being a first timer, I feel like that was the reigning theme, the trend, what I felt was really palpable when it comes to being at the conference, experiencing everything that I was able to experience while I was there. The people are the center of the community. And I really feel like being able to connect with the people, build relationships, establish new relationships, that was really something I felt that was really strong and very easily felt there. So I'm glad you brought that point up. And I like that you said something about setting intentions. I think it's important with anything that we do, especially in going to a new environment for some people or returning to something familiar, maybe deciding to do something different than you previously did. Setting some intentions, I think, is also very important. That was something else that I feel was very evident there as far as something that was discussed or brought up, really setting your intentions, deciding how you want your day to look, deciding, being open to the possibilities. I'll say it like that. So that's really something to talk about. So we talked about preparation. Actually, let me think about how I prepare. Normally when I go on a trip, I definitely make sure I have, I think about the packing. In fact, my daughters and I, we looked at this like really cool video before because I don't like to iron. I'm just gonna be honest, just putting myself out there like that. So I looked at a couple of videos that helped me like fold my stuff in my suitcase so that when I got there, I did not have to iron. I think it worked out pretty good. So that was definitely a part of something I set as an intention, not to be wrinkled. And then definitely connecting with the community, building relationships, definitely walking away with some information that would be pertinent and meaningful to the families and clients that I serve. Being a speech language pathologist, I think it's important that we as clinicians make sure that we keep ourselves like kind of on the pulse or heartbeat of what's happening in the communities that we serve, making sure that we walk away with information that is relevant, something that we can definitely feel that was a connecting point, not always walking in like we're the expert, but really being in a position of listening, So I think that was so important. So we got that. We got the preparation. We got the setting intentions. Definitely connecting with community. So you are a chapter leader here in Atlanta. So you're definitely very connected with the community locally. For someone who would be interested in making sure they connect with the community, maybe it was their first time going to a conference. Maybe they want to leave the conference or having gone to the conference. Maybe they want to leave and be connected in their local city. How would they go about doing that?
With the conference, I mean, you would have to really put forth an effort to not make connections,
Mm.
because it's just really automatic. At some point in time in the conference, you will either run into someone just just by chance and start a conversation. Someone will approach you. You will approach someone. So the connections tend to happen automatically.
Yeah.
So really, that kind of takes care of itself, unless you intentionally don't want to connect with anyone else. That's about the only way that it wouldn't happen. So that's kind of an automatic and just natural part of the conference experience, is to connect with other people.
Absolutely. And again, being a first timer, being an SLP, being an ally advocate, I really feel like even in those particular areas and roles, I feel like it was really hard to not connect with people. Again, depending on how you enter the space. And sometimes, we have a way that we enter a space, we have a way that we show up. Sometimes we may need to take it in a bit, really kind of feel out the space a bit before we engage. But definitely, I felt like making connections was definitely something that was easily welcomed and invited. Being open to the circles and groups and social scene even was definitely something that was easily something to get into. So I really appreciate being able to do that. Hey, Mitch, good to see you. We miss you too already.
Um, and speaking of intentions, like Mitchell is one of the few people who I've never really gotten to know at the conference.
Oh, wow.
So this year I was like, okay, this is the year me and Mitchell, um we definitely are going to have a conversation at some point in time. This has to happen at some point.
Right, right. So you set your intentions. You had some people in mind and you made sure you followed through and got the outcome that you wanted. So that's really amazing. And honestly, I'll just say this conference for me was like nothing else. Like there was this, again, the best way I can say it is like this very tangible, like something in the atmosphere that you could just really reach out and grab a hold of as it relates to being able to feel just why people were there, what they were seeking, the fact that they were happy to be there, how they showed up, the relationships that were able to be built. It was so evident. And it's just conferences that I've attended before, which I'm so grateful for every conference that I've been able to gain information from and attend and be invited to and speak at. I feel like it leans very heavily on the information side, and you definitely have to be very strategic about setting your intentions as to how you're building relationships. I feel like it was almost easy. It was really too easy to just be able to connect with people. Like every few steps I took, someone was starting a conversation or initiating something with me. Whether I went, on one level of the hotel, maybe down to the lobby area. The lobby area was where it was at, like for the whole conference. So that was definitely, if you were looking for a place to go, looking for a way to connect, literally all you had to do was walk downstairs into the lobby and just walk into a space. You would be welcomed with open arms. And I love that family feel. I love that intimacy. And I definitely felt that so much.
Exactly. And you really nailed it. Is that the difference between the NSA conference and others? While there is a lot of good information, a lot of great workshops, the people and the connections is really main focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was even talking to someone else at the conference, well, at like the SLP kind of breakfast that was featured, which I love that, by the way. I'm one to like really jump into the heart of a conversation very quickly. I tend to skip over small talk, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you like to do small talk and kind of build up to the conversation, I certainly understand that. But I like that, like lay on the couch, like tell me everything. I want to know everything, like in your life. What are like the pivotal points? How did you get here? Like, what keeps you up at night? I like those conversations. So that was so easy to just jump right in with people, really get to just the center of what mattered most. And I really appreciated that as well.
Yep.
Definitely. So we talked about a few things as far as how you get there, how you prepare, setting your intentions, connecting with the community. One of the other things I liked about the community is that it was very much all encompassing. Not only were there clinicians, there who stutter, there were parents, there were teens, there were kids, there were tweens, there were grandparents there, supporters, change makers, donors, board members, chapter leaders. There was like a presenter. Everyone was just like mixing and mingling, and it was just so nice to see that representation there. Definitely.
Yeah.
Is that like pretty common at the conference, or how would you? Is that like a unique feature of the NSA itself?
That's that's very common, and really not until you just laid it out in that way did I really understand that the community that we have, our allies, whether it be our friends, family, our spouses, they are a big part of the community. I know just in my own personal journey, my personal allies have been very important, and so that's why I think that is represented very well at the conference. How big of a part they really play, especially seeing someone bring their spouse to a conference for the first time, and and fully understanding what this is, because it's one thing to to see your spouse on on the webinar or some kind of conference call, but to actually or or reading posts and comments in Facebook, but to actually show up and to see the actual people and see how big it is, and and seeing how passionate the people in the community are. That just brings it to life, and just makes me fully understand what this community is and what it offers.
Wow. You really hit it. It's like that's really spot on, Derek. And I love that what resonated most to me and what you shared was the community, the people, and the passion. I feel like that is something, again, very evident, very apparent in showing up and being able to experience the conference itself, the passion of the people, the heart, even the vulnerability, the transparency. I would not dare share anyone's particular story or go into detail about anyone's specific information, but the space, the atmosphere was definitely set for those to feel safe, those to feel like they can share openly, be vulnerable, be transparent. For some, it was their first time going to the mic. For others, being able to just express themselves from an emotional place and not feel that it was out of place to do so. I really appreciated that aspect as well.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think it says a lot for people to be able to feel comfortable. I speak a lot about safe space. It was something I actually spoke about I got a chance to present there at the conference on mastering the word equity model. And one of the principles of that and one of the pieces and features as far as a benefit is being able to have this way in which you're able to use words to create a safe space. And I really feel like that was something that was very much a highlight of the conference as well. Okay, so I can talk about that all day, but let's get to this food, Derek. Derek. You like
I roll.
you went
in my life.
Derek with these amazing, delicious, delectable pictures of this amazing food. So I don't know about you guys. I don't know who's on the line. If you guys want to drop in some comments about anything that was shared tonight, talk about anything, or drop in some comments or questions about anything that you would like to have discussed. But I definitely want to make sure if you guys enjoyed the food, please let us know where you went so I can know next time when I go to Austin where I need to go. But we had some amazing cuisine. So tell us, Derek, this food tour that you gave us, tell us a little bit about that.
So this is the thing is that I actually started a diet late April. And along with that was also I stopped drinking as well.
Okay.
So how I planned it out is that I would reach my goal weight right before the conference, and then during the week of the conference would be my first time having some of the food that I like.
Wow, talk about setting intentions. Look at that.
Right. So this trip was very important to me because the past couple months, I mean, it's been pretty restrictive. So I definitely wanted to make the most of this. So as much as I could, I looked at, some different websites, looking at the best barbecue places, best taco places.
Nice.
I was gonna enjoy myself. That was my intention, was to enjoy myself.
I love that, Derek. Like you were like, listen, if I do nothing else, I am going to eat well and I'm going to have a nice beverage, right?
Exactly. So I had several.
Just to let you guys know, Derek said he had several. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
I did.
Prepared for it. You set your intentions. You planned ahead. You met your goal and you were able to enjoy. So good for you. I'm glad. Did you have any particular dish that stood out? Anything that you were wanting to, that you felt like, man, I wish we had this here in Atlanta? Like what stood out to you most?
So what I enjoyed the most is a place called the El Dorado Cafe. And so that was pretty far out from the hotel. So I actually got to Austin on Monday.
Yes.
And so and so I caught some Ubers to get further outside of the downtown area, because I knew that once the conference started, that pretty much around the hotel area is where I would stay the rest of the week.
Right.
And so and I found out about the El Dorado Cafe, and they had what was it? It was pork cheek tacos, and it was amazing. And keep in mind that was the first Mexican food that I've had since probably late March or beginning of April.
Oh wow! So your palate was set and ready, right?
It was an experience. Put it like that.
I love that. I love that, Derek. And then Stephen popped in. It was great to connect with you as well, Stephen. And I really had an amazing time at Cooper's Barbecue as well. It was such a really delicious, like well prepared, seasoned well, the long tables where we're able to really like fit a lot of us together so we can just really keep this engaging, compelling conversation going. I enjoyed that a lot. So I think I had the brisket there. They definitely had some options for some of us that were going the vegetarian route.
Right.
There were options there as well. So excellent. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely. So, like I said, I usually set my plans for a trip around the food for different reasons because I enjoy a good meal. And also, there's some different little considerations we have in our family concerning cuisine. So I definitely have to plan ahead so I'll know that there are plenty of options available for me when I arrive somewhere. So that was definitely um, something to keep in mind. Hey, Derek. Good meeting you as well. Good to see you. See you. Yep, another Derek. So that's the other thing. So Derek, oh my gosh, Derek Daniels gave me the most amazing welcome I've ever received probably in my entire life. So thank you, Derek, for that. I'll never forget that. Just letting you know. And then when I say Derek, I had to make sure I specify which Derek I was speaking about because there were a few of you guys.
Actually, on the dance floor, somebody thought I was Derek Daniels, and that like, no, that's Dr. Derek. That's not me.
Got you. Actually, Dr. Derek. But yes, yes. But it's nice to be, enjoying yourself on the dance floor and recognizing a certain way and be able to initiate the conversation there, even on the dance floor.
Right.
We were looking for you, Dr. Daniels. We were looking for you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They were very they were very disappointed, but I said, well, you can talk to me if you want to. They were like, no, I gotta go somewhere.
They set their intentions on speaking to Dr. Daniels, and then they had oh, sorry, Derek. Next time.
I was not it. I was not the one.
Oh, Mitch said he got confused as well. Oh my gosh! So we had a lot of different who's and trying to connect faces with names, which is still a fun thing to do because it helps you kind of like build another relationship. I was definitely excited about that as well. Putting some actual face-to-face faces with some of my friends on Facebook and social media, some of you all that I've been able to connect with in different platforms. That was really a fun experience as well. And then let me see, Mitch had a lot to share here. Some of the information at the conference, and he put some information for you all when it comes to like self-help conferences for people who stutter. Definitely get connected to the information that Mitchell dropped into the chat. We want to make sure, as we're talking about community, talking about staying connected and engaged, making sure people are really able to connect to the information that is available. And then, oh yes, best brisket. Best brisket ever. Okay, I won't say who said that, but someone also
right.
The brisket was really good. Okay. Hey, Jonathan. Good to see you as well. Jonathan concurs with us, Derek Mitchell, that connecting with friends and family. It was so great to meet you as well, Jonathan. I'm glad you thought the conference was as awesome as we felt it was as well. Hey, Carl. Good to see you. Definitely was super fun catching up. Let's see. Derek, you guys reaching out to me before the oh yeah. Did you guys connect really early?
Well, so what's really cool is that the NSA actually schedules calls with the first timers.
Oh yeah, yes.
Just to give them some information about what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Just some just some basic information coming into the conference, just so they aren't as nervous. And the one year that I volunteered for the phone calls, the person that who I was to get in contact with was Carl.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about bringing that up, but I love that the NSA has like an ambassador for the first timers. I thought that was really a nice touch. Something that I felt as though, at least if I knew no one, if I showed up, I could at least connect with my ambassador. So I loved that that was a feature that was available for me as a first timer. And I feel like it was very genuine. It didn't feel like this generic, cut and paste kind of disclaimer statement. I really feel like my ambassador Charlie was really genuine and interested in making sure that I felt well acclimated, extending himself in a way where I felt like I can contact him if I needed to. So I really appreciated that as well. That was a really nice feature.
Yeah. Because it's a very overwhelming and intimidating experience. Because I remember my first conference in Baltimore in 2015, just walking into the hotel and seeing all the people. It was a bit much. And I actually had to, after I got there, registered, I had to leave and and go for a walk and get some lunch and kind of get my thoughts together, because I'm very introverted. So being faced with with that amount of people was very intimidating. So I had to go somewhere and and woosah a little bit and get myself together.
Right. And it sounds like Carl can concur as well, being a bit nervous, kind of walking into the conference for the first time, but being able to connect with someone was really helpful. I would even say, as much as I enjoy connecting with people, as much as I enjoy like being a part of a community and just really immersing myself in that, a couple of things. So it was my first time flying in quite some time, just because of current climate stuff and all the things that had come along with that for my particular family and how we chose to move through this particular past year. So that was a consideration. And then going into this space and setting my expectations high and being confident that they would be met, but also just understanding like I was there for a conference. There were going to be other people there for some of the same reasons. And I had to, when I got checked in and I got myself registered, I also actually had to take a moment to just, as you said, woosah, but just take everything in. And it wasn't anything negative at all. It was definitely something that was like, hey, let me just breathe into this a little bit. So it was a nicely decorated, nicely well laid out hotel. So the main floor that we stayed on, there was like an upper level that had some seating by the window. You can look over and see the city. I just took a moment, as much time as I needed, to just kind of have an opportunity to sit and just be with myself. And I love that that was something that was available. The spaces were set in a way where you could either meet and mingle, or you could connect over an intimate space, or you could just really retreat if you needed to just kind of regroup, collect yourself, and just breathe into what was happening. So I appreciated that as well.
Well, okay. I'll be honest with you. When I say that I went to go somewhere and woosah, what I mean was that because it was Baltimore, I went somewhere and got some crab cakes.
Listen, Derek, I'm sitting here thinking that you're like, okay, meditating, like over in the corner, like centering yourself. You wanted crab cakes. I'm not mad at you. So not mad at you.
Food is my meditation.
Okay.
So whenever I say that I went somewhere and cleared my head, food and wine is normally involved in that. So, so just know that.
Yeah, so we know where to find you. If we're looking for Derek at a conference, go for the good food, go for the good wine. Like, that's where he'll be. Okay, we know this. Absolutely. So that is awesome. Let's kind of jump over to the chat, because we have a lot of people jumping in with some amazing information. Man, Mitch, you are really setting things off as far as how to connect. how to be social in the community. You guys, again, jump into the resources, because as much as we want this to be a recap, just kind of highlighting the food, highlighting the conversation, highlighting the culture, we want to make sure as you leave here and as we go beyond this conversation, that you're able to stay connected, that you're able to stay engaged. So definitely do not neglect the information that's being shared about how to do that. Thank you so much, Mitch. And
So, I actually want to touch on some of Mitchell's comments, because he really put some great options as far as how to stay connected. So, during the past year, during the pandemic, all chapter meetings went virtual. Which initially, that was the big adjustment and not really optimal. But what it did is that it really opened up chapters to a wider range of visitors than ever before. Now I can go visit a chapter anywhere in the country, and so as far as staying connected, that's definitely a great option, especially if you connected with people at the conference from different um, chapters. It's easy to now just go to the meetings whenever you want to. Mitchell also mentioned the NSA Connects, which is a recurring webinar series around different topics, such as the Passing Twice series that we've had a few times. There's a session for covert people who stutter, and that's a way to really connect around a certain topic that you share with people in the community. And lastly, Stutter Social, which is pretty much our kind of standard way of connecting virtually. And Mitchell, I forget when it was founded, so if you want to put that in the comments, but pretty much Stutter Social is kind of the was the model for how to connect virtually for people who stutter. So that is a resource that has been here for almost 10 years.
That's excellent. Okay, Mitch says 2011. Wow, coming up on 10 years. That's amazing. That is really amazing. And to speak to just the longevity of some aspects of things and offerings in the community, to speak to just so many things that are available to people in the community. I love that. And again, the fact that it was represented so well through different relationships. There was a family relationship. There was a professional relationship. There were those who were there to support a family member or friend. So I love that showed up even in the researchers and how that information was shared. Dr. Daniels and a panel of other researchers and individuals, Anna Paula, as well as Dr. Kia Johnson, were able to share information specifically on like the cultural considerations in the community, things we as clinicians should be mindful of, things to think about in so many different arenas as it relates to different pieces of culture and bilingualism and different features in that regard, and how we can definitely continue to build upon the information that's being shared, build upon some of the resources that are available, so that as we are diving into information, making sure it shows up as the most current information, so we're meeting the families, meeting the people that we serve in the best way, but using relevant, meaningful, up-to-date information, not allowing for us to only rely on what was currently the trend or at that particular time most thought about, but making sure we stay connected to what's most meaningful to each culture, and being in a position where we honor those who represent different cultures, and making sure we ask questions in a meaningful way so that we know how to best serve the people that we interact with in the community. So That was so important. Thank you, Dr. Daniels. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you, Anna Paula. We really appreciate you all for that. And then even the panels, Derek, there were like so many different panel discussions available. I know there was one like for the workplace, I believe. There was intersectionality. There was so many different things available. So I feel like if you came for something, you would definitely have received it in some way, from the littlest ones to those who are the most seasoned adults, and having been around the block more than a time or two, and being able to still contribute to the community and show up in that way. So there was something for everybody. I love that so much.
Yeah. And that's really what I appreciate about the conference specifically, and really the community at large, is that it really acknowledges that even though we all stutter, we're still very different as people and individuals.
Absolutely.
And so there is that constant striving to meet a broad range of needs around the same issue. And so I'm very grateful that 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 understanding is there, is just because we all deal with the same thing. We don't view it or think about it or handle it in the same way.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that point up, because I feel like no matter what individual I met, who I had a conversation with, being able to experience parts of them through the story that they shared in their conversation, that is something I lean very heavily into. The fact that through our conversation, you are sharing a part of yourself, sharing a part of your story, and how you communicate your message. That is all a part of what I promote through Word Equity, the Word Equity model. So I feel like being able to meet people where they are on their journey, and respect that that's where they are, and respect how they would choose to move forward, or even kind of take their time with where they are, how they choose to move up and down the continuum or on the particular journey or cycle that they're on. I think that was something that was really well presented, so that people could feel safe enough to show up in the way that was most authentic to them, and feel like they had a place there. So thank you for bringing that part up too, about the journey. Absolutely. Broad range of needs around the same issue. Yes, Derek, you getting props here. So let's see. And then the other thing, even kind of connecting to that particular piece, is the value in sharing your voice. I feel like there was so much opportunity there, whether you decided to share on an open mic, whether you decided to share through a panel, whether you decided to share just openly for the first time in a conversation with someone you probably have never met, never crossed paths, but you, again, the atmosphere was set for vulnerability, the atmosphere was set for transparency. So I feel like that value placed on being able to share your voice in the way that is most authentic to you was just something I can really respect about what was available. And there was not a push for having to do it in any particular way. There was not a push in making you even speak up at all, but giving you the opportunity to feel safe to do that. So I really appreciated that very much.
And for me, I kind of see that as one of the most empowering things about the conference, because really our open mics are the most popular workshops consistently each year at the conference, because in those sessions, people who may have never had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to speak in front of an audience get that chance, and get a chance to do it in front of an audience of people who get it.
Yes.
That's a rare opportunity for us. And so to see how people use that opportunity and how it impacts them, especially when the kids do it. See, kids do it, that's when I have to pull out some tissue.
Yes.
Or pretend like, I got some hair in my Because
Right.
those are the best moments, just to see a child's face just light up when they get the chance to use their voice in front of an audience um and not be ashamed,
Right.
and be embraced. For me, that's the highlight.
Absolutely. I love that you use the word embraced. I feel like that's something that was, again, very evident, very much available. Um, Placing value on the opportunity to share your voice, that was such a valuable piece. There was something else that you said, and I really wanted to make sure I touched upon that. Um, Man, I normally like him on it, but it's just so much to take in, Derek. I'm just really kind of
Right.
processing everything. I honestly feel, and I'm going to go back to the point if I remember it, but definitely placing that value. And I really feel like it's important, whether you are the spouse, because you mentioned different relationships. Some spouses were there, parents. Maybe there was a parent who was also a person who stutters. Maybe you are a parent, and just kind of navigating the space for the first time. That's actually one of the reasons that I put out my first publication. It's called Stuttering is What You Think. And it's really for parents and professionals, but it's also for those who really needed someone to approach them in a way that would have really allowed them to feel safe, feel like their voice was valued. Whether you're an adult or not, sometimes that child in us really shows up in different ways. So I wanted to make sure I created a resource that contributed to the community in such a way we place value and emphasis on being able to share your voice, build that confidence early, really reinforcing how to offer language to how to really approach the conversation about stuttering. So that is something that's definitely available on Amazon. If you also choose to support, I'd appreciate that. Let's see what else we want to talk about.
Well, actually, j- just touching on that point for a bit more. Actually, my first conference in Baltimore, my dad, who also has a stutter, came with me. Now, since it was so close to DC, that's where he spent most of his time. But he did come to a few workshops,
Mm-hmm.
um, including one that I hosted.
Oh, wow.
Just that experience, just him being there and seeing the amount of people who stutter that attended, and seeing how much it meant to them and to myself, that really opened us up to having, for the first time since I was a kid, having a conversation about stuttering.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so at that point in time, I was 34 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And and a few weeks after the conference, I finally had to talk with him
Yes.
about how he had dealt with my speech when I was growing up, why we never talked about it. And after decades of telling me that he outgrew it, finally admitted that he still stutters occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a contentious conversation, but that was a real breakthrough for us. Really, if not for the conference, I don't know if that would have happened.
Wow. That is really powerful, Derek. I just want to kind of sit with that for a minute, because it really speaks to the power of being able to tap in such a way that promotes that opportunity. So whether your dad went to every conference workshop offered at every time, I think that's even something to think about. Being able to both enjoy the workshop in the way that you feel you'd like to enjoy it, and still enjoy, maybe the local scene, but being able to have that conversation, that dialogue, even as an adult, because you don't stop being someone's child,
Right.
even as an adult. So to be able to have that conversation, put language to the feelings, be open, honest, transparent about where you each were in your journey. I think that's so powerful. That is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Well,
so powerful.
it's powerful now, but at the time, it wasn't very pretty. But it
Mhm.
got to a place where now the testimony is powerful, but
Yes.
there was some tough conversations.
Yes. But the fact that you were able to confront it, the fact that the conference really set the stage for you to be able to have the conversation, open up the dialogue, whether it was an easy stepping into as far as the conversation or not, the fact that you actually tackled it and did it. And then I'm even thinking about the word choice, and I don't mean to over analyze, but even speaking about dealt with, I know that there's different ways that we can approach how we feel, what our experience is about um, maybe the way in which stuttering was approached in your household, or the way that stuttering may have been approached in a school setting or in the community. You know, the fact that some people may still feel like, okay, this person is still dealing with me or tolerating me, or we don't
Right, right.
talk about it. We don't have the language for it. We don't even have a word. It's just something that's not even considered as part of the conversation. I love that, though it was not an easy conversation to have, and perhaps it had to be tackled in many pieces. The fact that you were able to do it and then hopefully not only reshape the way in which you would discuss it together, if it was discussed again at all, or even being open enough to share about what contributed to those experiences for each of you. I think that's such a powerful conversation to have within a family.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, let's see, man, a lot of people are talking about the workshops and how fear equals opportunity, and being able to be placed in a scary situation and still kind of approach it in a way that helps you to overcome your fear and grow. I love that point, Jonathan. That was such a powerful point there. Um, Man, there was so much. I think the thing that really stands out to me most, Derek, is that you were able to go into a conference knowing that you were going there to get some information. But I feel like the information that was exchanged, the information that was received and imparted, was almost equally as powerful as a social opportunity. I feel like there was so much learning, so much exchange,
Right.
so much breakthrough, even in just the social aspect of things. I don't feel like that's something that I've experienced in the same way at former conferences. I know that I go with my intention set to get information. And I'll be honest, I didn't even go as an SOP. We have to get continuing education hours and all these kinds of things.
Mhm.
I did not set my intentions to only go to those workshops. I made sure that I looked fully at the full scope of everything and made sure that I really made a plan to go to the things that were most meaningful to me. It was really important that I connected with the parents, because I think it's important to hear their voices, their perspectives, especially since a good portion of my client base is pediatric. I think it was really important to hear from an intersectionality perspective, how people show up in different spaces based off of how they choose to identify and how they disclose that information. There were so many things I think that were really meaningful, beyond what I would typically go to a conference for, as far as like the information piece. Not that I only go for clock hours, but it's helpful to meet that particular criteria for the year.
Mhm.
Um, but I really feel like it was an equal balance of the social aspect and what you gain from that, and the informational side, what you gain from the workshops.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And really, I think that for the first timers, especially for me, having that kind of duality between the social and the informational
Mhm.
aspect is very important,
Yeah.
because because as a first timer, oh, I was up early. I had my I had my notepad
Mhm.
written notes. I had all my workshops all planned out.
Right.
So
Right.
so that really plays a very important part, especially for those who are first and second timers, to really get
Mhm.
well-rounded experience with the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I definitely would encourage those who do come, definitely set your mind out, set your plan, as far as what things you want to attend and which speakers you want to support and what information you think is most pertinent to you for that given time. But definitely don't be surprised. Be open to the possibilities of being pulled into a meaningful conversation. Be open to the possibilities of, having a conversation last into perhaps overlap with a particular workshop time that you intended to get to because it was just that rich. So again, respect and support the presenters. I know that takes time and dedication, research, and all of that. But again, be open to the possibilities because there's so much opportunity available in just the conversations you'll have and the exchanges and just those interactions overall. So it's good to know how to approach, and it's good to be open to what is available.
Right.
So Derek, just like before, I know we could be on here for just about like all evening.
Yeah.
You know what I want to talk about that I did not expect. And I want to say hey to Mark. Thanks for jumping on as well. Thank you for everyone who's been dropping comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for those who have shared their own experience, especially thank you. And we're thankful for the information that's going to be so meaningful to those once they leave this conversation to be able to stay connected, stay engaged with the community. So thank you guys for jumping in with that. We don't want to keep you all night, but I did want to say, Derek, I felt a little bit of withdrawal, like when we were leaving, and I did not expect that. I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm happy to go back to my family. My household family. I feel like I've built a family within the community, but my household family, I was happy to return to just my life as far as just how that unfolds when I'm home. But there was just like, there was this sense of it's over. Like I literally looked up. I remember sitting up in my little space after I checked in and kind of getting myself together. And then I feel like the next time I looked up, it was like time to start re-preparing my bag to get back on the plane. Right. So I feel like I had this withdrawal kind of experience. I don't know if that's the best word to describe it, but some kind of like just settling with the idea. And it's not the kind of experience of like, okay, vacation's over. I've laid out on the beach. I've, indulged in the cuisine. It was very different than just like going back from a vacay off an island or some exotic place. I feel like it was just this, I'm really going to miss you guys. I'm really going to, it just felt different. It just felt different. So have you experienced that, and how do you deal with the withdrawal? And you guys can also drop in the comments as well. Did you experience withdrawal? How do you deal with that? Just the separation from the community, not separation from the community, but the separation from that particular experience for that week. How do you deal with that?
So I think that that withdrawal is the right word, because really it's a 4-day high. I mean, because you get there and as soon as you register, it's nonstop.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally nonstop because you you might not sleep, but like 4 or 5 hours a day. So so it's nonstop. And that first year, the withdrawal caught me off guard too, because I'm like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Like, I met some people, but
right.
But I don't know them like that. So why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
And, just that feeling of community is something that I think is rare. And I know, I believe it was on one of my roommates who kind of who brought this up, is that we were embraced more at the conference after a year of not seeing each other than with our families. Wow. Not saying that I don't love my family and they don't love me.
Yeah.
But hugs that I received at the conference and the hugs that I received from family are a little different. And so just that sense, just that sense of community, I think is something that's very unique about what we have here.
Yeah.
And so when you get 4 days of that, of just being embraced and connections and people who understand you and who get it, and then all of a sudden it's gone and you're back to the real world,
Yeah.
you know, that's a tough transition, especially the first time. So
Yeah.
this conference number 5, so that withdrawal is not, as intense as it used to be, but
Mhm.
that first year it was rough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you brought some perspective to that. Um, Again, it was very different. It was a very different feeling to have, and it was something that I sat with for a moment and did not just try to gloss over very quickly. The beautiful thing is being able to jump into some of the offerings of the community through the connections and through the chapters and saying, just keeping the conversation going. That's why I think discussions such as this one are very helpful in not only continuing the conversation, but making sure we highlight on some features that are really very pertinent to the experience. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to join me in having this conversation, recapping on some things. I know we said we would talk about different things during here, and I think we were able to accomplish that and then some. So for those who were able to join, for those who will be able to listen back to the replay, we thank you for joining the conversation in whatever way that was most conducive for you. Um, we hope to stay connected with you. Definitely feel free to reach out, and let's make sure we have an opportunity for others to stay connected with you, Derek. And then I'll make sure I share my information, and I'll look forward to connecting with you all very soon. How can we reach you, Derek?
I am on Facebook. It's Derek Mitchell in Atlanta, Georgia. Just look me up. Send me a friend request, or a message.
Absolutely. I made a little smirk when you said Atlanta. We won't get into like this turf war tonight. I'm glad we didn't get into that.
Yeah,
Derek, you guys can
let's not do that here. Let's not do that.
you guys can get a little glimpse of our playful banter on my, I believe it's my most recent post on Instagram. And you can
Right.
find me on Instagram at DOM_KND. You can find me on Facebook at Dominique KND. Also have some different podcasts and broadcasts available on YouTube. You can search the words word equity speech stories. I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with you guys. Again, I can also be found at, you can go to my website, dominiquekennedy.com. So definitely want to stay connected, guys. Definitely feel free to jump in as you're listening to the replay, drop in your comments, drop in what was most meaningful for your experience at the NSA annual conference this year in Austin. If you want to drop in the places to go to when visiting Austin as far as a cuisine, we didn't go to and drop information on every restaurant, but definitely there's some that you think we need to know about. Please feel free to do that. Anything that you could relate to, definitely respond in that way as well through the comments and feedback. And again, we look forward to continuing the conversation and hearing back from you. Thank you guys for joining tonight, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Derek.